You may notice we have a bunch of teenagers over to my right. This is the year one confirmation students. They were on retreat all afternoon long. They were really happy to be inside the whole time. They said, we don't want to go outside in that beautiful weather. We want to be stuck inside. But now they're here and they're at Mass, and there is obviously nothing more wonderful than this. And hopefully my homily will connect this all together, that there truly is no better place you could have been today than here at St. Ambrose in Woodbury. You see, a couple months ago, I was leading a retreat for an organization called TECH, Teenagers Encountering Christ. Some of our students next year hopefully will go on that retreat, either TECH or NET. I prefer TECH, seeing as I'm on the board there. There's a shameless plug. All right, but anyways, I was leading a retreat for them, and one of the questions I had for them, I said, what are some of the things that distract you from God? What are some of the things that kind of prohibit you from really experiencing God? And they wrote out these wonderful answers, homework. My parents know their parents doesn't distract them, whatever it may be. But one of the answers really struck me because they wrote clubs. Clubs. And so in the back of my mind, I was thinking, what do they mean by clubs? So I had to ask someone next to me, I said, what do they mean by clubs? I thought they meant like the dance club. Like 50 Cent, you can find me in the club. Probably shouldn't be singing that during Mass. All right, anyways, boy, a rough crowd tonight. Anyways, thank you. All right, so I really thought they meant dance clubs. Like I thought these 16-year-olds were going to dance clubs. And I said, aren't they a little bit young to be going to that? I know like when I was 16, I wasn't allowed in. It was 18 plus. And I asked the person sitting next to me, she was much younger than I was, maybe 18 or 19. I said, what do they mean by clubs? And she's like, Father, I think they mean clubs like clubs at school. So I had to get up in front of everyone, really embarrassed, and show my age. I said, what do you guys mean? And they did mean clubs at school. Like, I don't know, some of the clubs, chess club. What clubs are you guys part of right now? Little audience interaction. What clubs are you part of? Don't all raise your hands at once, please. I would hate for that to happen. Robotics club, what else? You're part of no other clubs than that. Nothing. Boy, it is a rough crowd tonight. All right, so like when I was in high school, the clubs that I was part of was like the Air Force Club. I know that sounds really dorky and stuff, but we got to go on C-130 as in black helicopters. It was awesome. All right, other clubs, of course, like maybe like clubs, I think they also meant like dance, right? And eventually they also meant sports, right? They also meant sports. And they said it's really distracting for us because we go to all these events. We go to hockey practice 20 hours a week. We go to cheerleading camps. We go to baseball camps. We go to drama. And we practice 4 or 5 hours a day for a 2-hour play that we do 2 months from now. But we can't make it to Mass. And when they went on the retreat, all of a sudden they figured, you know what? We've enjoyed these 3 days. We've actually loved these 3 days. It was really relaxing because the only thing we were focused on was God. When I was in high school, I went on a retreat myself. I know it's amazing. All right, I went on a retreat myself, and it was a Steubenville retreat. And in the corner of my eye, I saw these like 40 teenagers. And they're always like excited for God. They wore these shirts that said Young Apostles. And I said, who are they? It was a club they belonged to. And these people showed up 2 weeks before the actual Steubenville conference. And they dedicate 2 weeks to learning everything they needed to know so they could minister to other teenagers. And I always said, I want to join that club. I want to be with them. Why? Why? Because they, I could tell, were in love with God. Today we hear in the gospel, we hear what? Jesus says what? He says, you will be my disciples. I will be with you. And people will know that you are my disciple by what? By the way that you love one another. In our book to Revelations, in the second reading, he says, I am not leaving you. You are my people. I make my dwelling with you. God essentially is telling us he is alive. He is not a dead God. So often we can think that God is some far off place. But we know that's not true. We know that he is alive, and what he wants of us, you and me, first-year confirmation students, first communicants who are here this morning, senior citizens, each and every one of us, what he wants of us is to belong to him. of every single club out there, of every single activity. What God wants for you and me is to come to Him and belong to Him. And my brothers and sisters, when we give ourselves completely over to God, there is nothing in the world that is greater. Why else are you here tonight when it is absolutely beautiful outside? Because you know that you want to receive God and for Him to be inside of you, to dwell inside of you with the Eucharist. We are called to be Christians. We are called to be Catholics. And that has to be the first and foremost thing in our life. Not sports, not work, not TV, not money or prestige. First and foremost, we have to be Catholic. We have to be disciples of God. But there's nothing better. We can search the rest of our life for that great pearl that we're always looking for. But unless we come to God, we will always be searching. He is that great pearl. And yes, sometimes that means we have to sacrifice. Yes, sometimes that means we have to stay inside all afternoon on a beautiful day. But why? So that we can experience Him. So we can experience His love. Let us never forget about this. Let us continue to belong to this club of people called disciples, Christians, followers of Christ, and to know that He never abandons us. God is always with us. We remember it today. We remember it on Wednesday night, on Thursday morning, for the rest of our life. We continue to be Catholics. We continue to be in love with God, and we continue to belong to Him.